Hello everyone, my name is Sudhanshu Kumar. Today I am going to record a video assignment for week 5. The first question is, what are the assumptions of linear regression? As the name suggests that linear regression, it means that there is a linear relationship between dependent and independent variable. And the second assumption is sum of residual, which is actual minus predicted value, is above the regression line is equal to sum of the residual below the regression line. It means that we can say that the mean of residual should be 0 or close to 0. The second is equal variance along the regression line. That is, it should be homoscedasticity, and there should not be multicollinearity in data, because if two features are highly correlated, then there will be a chance of overfitting. Now moving to second question, explain decision tree algorithm. Explain how decision tree algorithm work and what is pruning in decision tree and what are its types. Decision tree basically supervised machine learning algorithm which is used for both classification as well as regression problem. It uses basically if else like condition to split the data. And how it works, first of all we begin with root node which contains whole data set, and then to find the best attribute we will calculate the entropy or Gini impurity. On the basis of that we can select the best node where we have to split, and this process is recursively done until we reach to a point where we cannot further classify the node, and the final node is known as leaf node. And moving to second part, what is pruning in decision tree? What are its type? As we all know that decision tree are highly prone to overfitting. So pruning is helpful to reduce the overfitting. It is basically a method to trimming down the full tree to reduce the complexity and variance in the data. Their pruning are classified into two categories, that is post pruning and pre-pruning. Post pruning is also called backward pruning. In this case, we will generate a decision tree first, then we remove the non-significance feature from it, non-significance branch from it. And in pre-pruning, we stop the non-significant branch from generating. Now moving to next question. What is random forest algorithm and how does forest reduce the overfitting? Random forest algorithm basically a supervised machine learning algorithm which is based on concept of ensemble learning. Random forest classifier contains number of decision tree on various subset of given data set and take average to improve the predictive accuracy of the data set. Instead of relying on one decision tree, it uses each tree at a random, and based on majority voting, they predict the final output. The greater number of tree, more will be accuracy, and it prevents the problem of overfitting. Now next question is, what are the difference between precision and recall? Precision and recall are both metrics used for classification problem. Precision is defined as the ratio of number of correctly classified positive example to the total number of predicted positive example, and mathematically it can be written as true positive upon summation of true positive plus false positive. And recall is also defined as a ratio of number of correctly classified positive example to the total number of positive example. Mathematically it can be written as true positive upon true positive plus false negative. Precision and recall are complement of each other. If we increase the precision, recall reduces, and if we increase the increase the recall, precision reduces. And so there is a trade-off between precision and recall. Hence we have to select both optimum value of both of them. What is k-means clustering? How do you find the value of k in k-means clustering? K-means clustering basically supervised machine learning algorithm which use unlabeled data set into different cluster based on certain property like similarity. To find the optimal value of k-mean algorithm, we use elbow method. In this case, elbow method is a curve which is plotted between inertia and number of cluster. Inertia basically means that within cluster sum of a square error. And when we plot the elbow curve, it is observed that initially when we increase the cluster from 0 to 0 increase from 0, number of inertia value decrease abruptly. With increase in cluster, this rate of change becomes slower, and a point may arrive where increase in cluster there is very little change in inertia value. The point at which this little change arrive is known as elbow point, and corresponding cluster size is the optimum value of k. What is confusion matrix? In the regression problem, we deal with numerical data. Hence, we represent accuracy in the form of r square adjusted like that. But in classification problem, we have a categorical feature. Then we have to find some another metric so that we can observe the whether our model is correctly classified or not. For that, confusion matrix is very helpful. It finds the accuracy and correctness of classification model. If we take two class classification problem like yes or no, then 4 terms are arrived in confusion matrix, that is true positive. If predicted value is true and real output is also true, then it is called true positive. If predicted value is false and real output is also false, then it is called false positive and true negative. If predicted value is false, if predicted value is true and actual value is false, actual output is false, then it is called false positive. And if predicted value is false but actual output is true, then it is called false negative. And false positive is also called type 1 error, and false negative is also called type 2 error. And type 1 error is more dangerous than type 2 error. What is random sampling? And give some example of some random sampling technique. Random sampling means we provide equal chance to the every element in a population. First sampling method is simple random sampling. In this case, whole data is each member of a population into a big group. We put the whole member of a population in a big group and choosing who and what to include at random. In stratified sampling, we basically maintain the ratio of each group from different source of population. Or we can say that we can divide population divided into group based on shared characteristics. Cluster sampling, we create cluster from a given population and randomly selecting entire cluster to a population. And systematic sampling, we decide a decision rule that every kth element I have to select them and perform certain test on it. What are the difference between tokenization, lemmatization, and stemming? In tokenization, if we consider word tokenization, then it is the breaking down of sentence into word is known as word tokenization. And in case of sentence tokenization, if we have multiple sentences, we have to break down into single sentence, then it is called sentence tokenization. Stemming, cutting a few letters of last of the word is known as stemming, like playing becomes play, and played becomes play. Lemmatization, it basically used to convert the root word using wordnet library, like playing becomes play, etc. Read becomes read. How to handle imbalanced data, mention some techniques. In imbalanced data, there are some category have is in majority class, some of them in minority class. To avoid this problem, we define the certain method, we apply certain method so that they can convert it into balanced class, and we work on them. Finally, we apply it to model. The first method is proper metrics, like when we use classification metric like accuracy, it work well for classification balanced data set. But when we moving to imbalanced data set, we have to consider some new metrics, like which consider the factor of both precision and recall, called F1 score. It is basically harmonic mean of precision and recall. In resampling, we basically oversample the minority class and remove some of the row from the majority class, so that data imbalanced data set is converted into balanced data set. And a systematic minority sampling technique, it is basically based on a smooth technique. In this case, we pick some data point in minority class and find the k nearest neighbor, and then we pick random point from them. By this way, we can increase the population of minority class, and data becomes balanced, and it will not hamper the accuracy of the model. What is univariate and bivariate analysis? Mention some of its technique. Univariate means single variable. It basically deals with distribution of data like bar chart, pie chart, frequency, polygon, histogram, frequency distribution table. Now moving to another one, that is bivariate analysis. It deals with two variable, and it shows the cause and effect relationship between two variables, like a scatter plot, regression plot, etc. Describe hypothesis testing, and what is the statistical significance of insight assess, and what is alpha in hypothesis testing. Hypothesis test evaluate the two mutually exclusive elements like null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis. To assess the statistical significance, we use hypothesis testing. Here, first of all, we define two statements, that is null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis. Then we calculate the p-value, which is likelihood of getting the test observed finding if null hypothesis is true. Then we select the threshold value of alpha, and we compare with p-value. If alpha is more than p-value, then we will reject the null hypothesis and accept the alternate hypothesis. What is alpha in hypothesis testing? Alpha is basically means the probability of making type 1 error. It is denoted by alpha. If we consider confidence level of 95%, then it means that there is a 5% probability that we will reject the null hypothesis. What is the difference between label encoding and one-hot encoding? Every machine learning algorithm, they require numerical data. So if in a regression problem, it will not create any issue, but in every machine learning algorithm require numerical data. So if there is any categorical feature are there in a data set, we have to convert them into numerical feature by using either one of them method, like one-hot encoding or label encoding. In one-hot encoding, each categorical feature is converted into separate column which contains two unique value, that is 0 or 1. If a particular column exists in that column, is particular feature or particular category exists in that particular column, then it is marked as 1, otherwise it is marked as 0. By this way, it will create a sparse matrix. Also, every category is every unique value of particular feature is converted into separate column. By this way, it increases the dimension of the data set, and it also increases the computation time. So this method is not helpful for large data set because it increases the dimension of the data and it also increases the computation time. Another one is label encoding. In this case, we will not create any new column, or we cannot change the dimension of data. We just providing a label to the given feature. What is conditional probability? If I call 2 Uber and 3 Lyft, what is the probability that all the Lyft arrive first? Probability of arrive by we can what is conditional probability? Conditional probability is the probability that event occurring with relationship one or more other event. When we consider the 2 Uber and 3 Lyft, what is the probability that all the Lyft arrive first? Here total sample is our total sample space is 5, that is 2 Uber and 3 Lyft. If we consider the first car to arrive is Lyft, then total number of Lyft by total sample space. In this by this way, its probability becomes 3 by 5. Now, if first car arrive, for the second car, our sample space becomes 4 because one Lyft car is already arrived, 2 remaining Lyft car is available. Hence, when we find the second car of probability of the second car is Lyft is 2 by 4. Similarly, for the third car it is 1 by 3, and multiply all of them, all the 3 probability, we get 1 by 10 is the required probability. What is outlier? How do you treat them? Outlier is the unusual pattern of data. It occurs due to variation in measurement, experimental error, or exception. To drop the outlier, first of all, to treat the outlier, first of all, we have to visualize them, so that first of all we create normal distribution curve using his plot, and then observe that if there is their data, any data above the threshold Z score, then we will drop them. Second one is we will plot the box plot, and then observe that if any data above the 90 percentile, we can cap it to 90 percentile, and any data below the 10 percentile, we can floor it to 10 percentile value. And the third one is mean median imputation. In this case, we will replace the outlier value with mean or median or mode according to our data. What is naive Bayes classifier algorithm, and what do you mean by naive in naive Bayes? Naive Bayes is basically supervised classification algorithm which is based on Bayes theorem. It is basically probabilistic classifier. The term naive in naive Bayes means that each feature is independent of other feature, but it is not true in real life problem. Thank you.